All right, in this video, we are going to go a little deeper into why the three-tier avatar model works the best for commission sellers, especially if you're selling a health and wellness product or a financial product like insurance or mutual funds. And if you have watched my previous videos on what are the big problems with the traditional commission selling setup and how does the avatar model really work in a three-tier fashion, then this video is going to tie up the loops for you, especially if you're a commission seller. So let's get started. Now, in previous videos, we have already discussed what exactly is the avatar model of using information products, community products, and a subscription or a service product at the very end, which is your health product or the financial product. And in the previous video, I had gone through details of why team building businesses really fail, because nobody is really telling you what is the actual route that the money is following. And the route that the money is following is that you get paid the last and you have the least amount of control in this kind of a business. So even if you build it very, very big, I have the opportunity and the privilege to have worked with some of the top rank holders of health and wellness distribution teams and of financial product distribution teams. And invariably, the number one reason that they actually come to me for is that they feel insecure even after having built very big businesses. They're not making as much money, even for revenue ranges of like 20, 30 crore rupees a year. They're collecting only maybe 2 or 3 lakh rupees a month, which is like less than 1% of the total value that they're generating as their personal checks. Their teams are making them feel insecure. The company is making them feel insecure. On top of that, the company has locked them into a kind of agreement or a kind of culture where they are not really allowed to share all of that value that they've built up outside or personal, or build themselves a personal brand. Okay, so all of these issues we have discussed in previous videos. In this particular video, I'm going to show you why is it that the three-tier avatar model really works very well for commission selling businesses, especially if you're building teams, and in these teams you're building subscriptionable products for end customers, as well as motivating these teams to be active in business for long periods of time so that you can consistently make that residual income. All right. My name is Dr. Rajat Sinha. I'm a medical doctor turned sales strategist. And even since my medical college days, I was into selling health and wellness products on a subscription basis. And after many years of not being able to take that business off the ground, I was able to work with my mentor in Silicon Valley, who actually taught me how real companies are run and how do you actually run subscription businesses. And this applies to you even if you're an agency owner who has billing clients and you're trying to get these clients to be with you for a long-term basis for a billing service, even if you have an ad service for them, even if you have a creative service or a social media kind of a service, or whatever agency service you have for them. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the big mistakes of passive income opportunities and why they don't really work. So what are the big mistakes of passive income opportunities? The first big mistake is that there is no real way to actually sell yourself. When you go out to build a team, the company tells you that people don't buy products, people buy leaders, people buy you. So you have to sell yourself first. But there is no real way in which you can sell yourself. At the end of the day, the only way to sell, or the only way that transaction can really happen, is when you actually sell the company's product, and then the money goes to the company. And remember the golden rule: whoever touches the money first controls the whole customer interaction, controls the whole business actually. So you don't really control the business, even though you may be a very top level pin holder. Next, the biggest mistake that companies teach you to do is that you sell a subscription product directly. A subscription product never sells directly very well because it triggers fear in the mind of the prospect, because they have to pay every single month. Okay, nobody's going to do that. Even if they're very, very serious and they have a cash crunch, or even if they are very serious about your health product, sooner or later that feeling is going to kick in, that why the hell do I need to pay every single month for this kind of product. Okay, people don't do that. The next, I'll be going deeper into why people don't do that. The next one is, you're hiding behind the product for the entire duration of the relationship, whether the relationship with your customer or the relationship with your downline distributors. You are hiding behind the product, which means you're not really selling yourself, you're not really adding that value. Once you have tied up your distributors to the company, you've tied up the customer to the company, you're not really adding a lot of value. You're hiding behind the product, and all the value that you're adding is crunched behind this particular product, which is why the hell they should keep on buying this product again and again. Okay, and that is not the real value you bring. I mean, if you are a salesperson, solopreneur, if you've been able to find prospects, motivate them, if you've been able to provide that kind of leadership, you have so much more to offer in that relationship. And I'll go to what that value is. But as soon as you tie up the person, your customer or your distributor to the company, basically your entire value is hidden behind the product, and that product or that particular subscription starts acting like a barrier in the relationship, where your customers or your distributors kind of stay in stress. They're not really able to get the max value that you can actually provide them. Okay, and I'll go into that later. All right, next is that you do not build emotional value transaction. There is no transaction, if you see, unless the transaction is with the company. That means even though you may have found this particular prospect, you may have motivated them, they may be looking for some kind of leadership on the make money side or on the improving the health side or whatever, and you turn out to be that person, but you haven't been able to turn that leadership or whatever they see inside you, that they're agreeing to follow you, you haven't transacted that, so it's not locked in. What does that mean? Unless you have a money transaction where somebody pays you money for a value that they can get, and you actually deliver that value, you don't really have direct value. That basically means that they're going to trust you to actually end up paying the company for their product, and they will get the product from the company. But then it's a subscription product. They need to get that SIP month after month. They need to pay for that insurance year after year, or they need to buy that health product again and again. And what's happening is that you're doing all of this work up front, and you're earning the trust of the prospect or the customer, but you're not really locking in the value. They haven't paid you for something that you can provide, maybe a leadership coaching or something like that, maybe a consultation, maybe a paid consultation, maybe a clarity call, whatever it can be. Okay, and because they haven't paid you, you're not really locked into the transaction, and that is why a lot of leaders actually, they become obsolete from the very teams that they are building. Okay. All right, so this is a very big point. Okay, next you have not empowering the clients or downlines to bypass the fear switch, which means the number one reason why people actually withdraw from the actual subscription payment after a while is because that particular subscription starts looking like a threat to them. Remember, whenever people have to pay money, it triggers the fear switch. There is something called the fear of survival, and there is something called fear of replication. And every time we pay money, it triggers our fear of survival switch. What does that mean? Every time we pay money, psychologically we are telling our brain that I have less money to spend on food tomorrow. Okay, this is what these are the kind of instincts that were developed in mankind once we moved from the jungle as tribes and moved to an agrarian sort of society and started growing our own food. Money was only used pretty much to buy grain or buy food, and every time we pay money, our ancestral brain thinks that basically I am letting go of some food potential. Okay, so now what's happening is your subscription product, which could be a weight loss product, which could be an insurance payment, which could be your SIP. These are all intangibles as compared to food. So every time the person has to pay money, you're competing with the fear or the food switch, which is, hey man, am I going to be able to survive tomorrow if I keep paying money to this company? Do I need it, or do I need the money for myself? Okay, and how do we get past all of these different passive income opportunity fears that you've put in the mind of your prospect? How do we get across from that by using the avatar model? I just want to go into that in detail. Okay, before I do that, I just want to share over here the 3-layer structure of the human brain. This is the 3-layer structure of the human brain, where the survival state or the brainstem is called the lizard brain or the reptilian brain. It is the de facto brain that our body or that our psyche operates from, which is fear. And fear of what? The fear of survival. Okay, this is the reptilian brain. It was developed 400 million years ago, which means it is the most long-standing brain that our body has, 400 million years old. Okay, next you have something called the emotional brain or the mammalian brain, which craves love. So mammals are the first ones who had family love. Okay, reptiles don't have family love. They don't really love their mates or their kids. In fact, many reptiles actually eat their own eggs. But when it comes to mammals, they have love for a couple, mating love. Then they have love for their kids, and a lot of mammals actually live in gangs or groups or tribes, and then they have that tribal love. Okay, so when it comes to mammalian brain is roughly about 60 million years ago, 60 million years old, and the primary goal of the mammal brain is emotional connection. And next you have the executive state, which is the logical brain, which is called the primate brain, which is very, very recent occurrence. Okay, which is a very recent occurrence in terms of millions of years. So the logical brain does not really control our deepest, the way we operate, our deepest psyche is not controlled by the logical brain. Okay, it's actually controlled by the brainstem or the fear brain, which is called the lizard brain, and also which is the emotional brain, which is the need for love and belonging. Now, what happens in traditional commission selling is that we always go out with logic. We say, do you want to make money? And people say, yes, okay, this is how you make money. Okay, maybe we'll ask some why questions, like if your upline has taught you, hey, why do you want to make money, or why do you want to lose weight, or whatever it is, and that's it. And at the end of that, we just go into the how business. How does my supplement help you to make money, or how does my financial product help you to make money? How does my make money opportunity help you to make money? And we directly switch on to the logical part of the brain. Okay, remember, the logical part of the brain is going to be easily bypassed by the mammalian brain or the reptilian brain. In fact, the reptilian brain, they say, is the default modality of operation. Default modality of operation. In fact, every piece of information that enters your brain passes through the reptilian brain. If the messages are too complex or we perceive them as threatening, our response comes from the reptilian brain and not from our logical brain. What does that mean? That whatever make money opportunity, weight loss product, whatever it is that you're selling to your prospect, the first thing it is going to evoke is fear of the unknown. Okay. In fact, what is the reason that a lot of people are unable to lose weight by themselves, or a lot of people are unable to make money, save money, or become millionaires? The reason is that their habits are constantly getting triggered by fear, and that's why they cannot settle down and actually stick to a particular program, whatever that program might be. So instead of starting with the logical brain, it is your duty to start with the reptilian and the mammalian brain. Okay, it is your duty to start with the reptilian and the mammalian brain. And how do you do that? Well, the first thing you do is that you need to have a challenge, which is a done with you challenge, which basically means people need to feel belonging in a group, and you need to be able to help them to achieve some weight loss result, or achieve some make money result, or achieve some skill, or do some analysis on their own household budget, or whatever it is that gives them the feeling that they're part of a group. So you got to open up the mammalian brain first. Okay, you got to open up the mammalian brain first. And while you're doing the done with you challenge, which is the mammalian brain, I show it over here in the green color right in the middle, this thing has to be of a certain duration, which means it has to be probably a 2-week, 3-week, 6-week duration. What happens during this 3 weeks or these 6 weeks? It could be even 3 months. It could be a 90-day challenge. What happens during this 90-day challenge is that every time there is a fear psychosis, there is a fear trigger of why am I doing it? Maybe I won't be able to do it. I don't need to stick to my diet plan. I don't need to do exercise because I feel like a loser, or whatever it is. Or I don't need to take care of my household budget. I don't need to look into my household finances, because it just generates boredom and fear. And you got to trip that switch. And that is the way to trip that switch, is to take these habits as close to the spinal cord or to the reptilian brain as possible. And the way you do that is by running a same set of repeated commands day upon day at the same time. It could be in the form of a challenge, day upon day at the same time, in a supportive environment where the mammalian brain opens up, people feel a sense of belonging. They feel that I should be doing this so that I belong to the group. And they do a certain activity like a habit. It could be going to the gym, it could be going for morning walk, it could be looking at their household budget, it could be doing their household accounting every single day, whatever it is, something related to the money side, something related to the weight loss or health side. And they have to do it so that the fear switch that is going to trip up later when you subscribe them to a product, that fear switch gets mellowed down. Okay, now if you're going to be working with people on a prolonged fashion, if you're going to be working with them for a week-long challenge, or for a 3-day challenge, or for a 3-week challenge, or for a 3-month challenge, you're going to be spending a lot of time with these prospects. So you deserve to get paid. And this is where the information product ecosystem comes in. Now, over here in the information product ecosystem, you can charge a small payment in order to sit down and explain some logic to the prospect. But immediately what you got to do is you got to get them to commit to a challenge where they work in a community environment without the company being involved. Without the company being involved, they get to work with you directly. You get to monetize that particular leadership into a cash transaction. And in return for that cash transaction, you're going to provide that leadership, you're going to provide that love and belonging, and you're going to provide that habitual pattern formation that is going to trip their fear switch, so that later when you put them on a subscription, that fear switch doesn't trip every second month. And that is the way to get people in a comfortable fashion into a subscription product after they have been educated and after they have their mammalian and their fear brain, the reptilian brain, has been calmed down or opened up. Okay. And this is the reason why the avatar model works very well for commission sellers. Okay, now let's go and watch very, very closely into how this avatar model, I'm just going to show you the avatar model once more. You got 3 layers of products. You got an information layer, which directly gets into a community or progression or some kind of a habit building challenge. And then you can have a subscription or service. You can just bring in your other financial or health products. Okay. Now what's going to happen is that you're going to meet the prospect at a logical level, especially if you're doing the sales call, etc. But you're going to ask them to commit with you so that you can work with them on the emotional state and on the survival state, which is what is causing them to fail on the money and the health front in the first place. And once you do that and it is attached to a particular transaction, that means they have to pay for it and you have to give them service in return. What happens is that you get locked in. They have chosen you as a leader. They have paid you for a certain kind of a result, which could be a community membership, which could be a challenge or whatever. And once you deliver the value, once you show up every single day at the same time and you get them to commit to show up every single day at the same time and carry on certain actions, then this relationships gets set in stone. And because of this, you are able to bypass all the 5 big mistakes of passive income opportunities for commission selling, which means number 1, you did not have any way to sell yourself. Now you do. That means there is a cash transaction happening where you touch the cash first. This cash is not going to the company. Second, instead of selling a subscription product directly and then hiding behind the product, you're selling yourself directly and you are the person who's providing the guarantee that results are going to be achieved. And during this time, of course, if some people are unable to keep up or if they feel that you're not the right person, that's fine. You can give them a refund. It's all cash. It's all cash business anyway. You can give them a refund if they don't belong, if they feel they're not at the right place. No problem, man. Even in giving refunds, you're going to build fan value and these people are going to come back to you. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next. Not building emotional value transaction. What is this emotional value transaction? If you make people commit to their own habits and you are there for them over long elongated periods of time, you're building something called emotional value transaction, which basically means whatever their emotions were, whatever their fear was that I'm not going to be able to achieve the result, whatever their inner shame was that, hey man, if I don't achieve the result, I feel like a loser. Or whatever their inner anger was, hey, I worked with my previous gym trainer, didn't get the results. I worked with this person and they screwed me, they scammed me, or whatever those inner fear, anger triggers are, or whatever those inner shame is, you're able to smooth that down. And this builds something called emotional resilience in the prospect. And we call this an emotional value transaction because you charged for it and you provided it as a commodity or as a trackable service. Very simple. And then once you're able to do that, your clients are actually empowered. Why do I say empowered? Because they have been down the journey without actually tying in with a company. Remember, a company, regardless of how beautiful those products are, your company is an inanimate object, but you are a human person. You are a leader that people see. Now here what's happening is you're actually empowering your clients or your downlines to achieve certain results and trust you, so their fear switch gets bypassed. At the end of which, if you are able to convert some of them into your subscription opportunity, that trust level is so high that you're less likely to have all of those problems that happen otherwise. In fact, you will see that even if you get into any kind of team troubles or any kind of issues with the company or something, your team is going to really stick with you. And you will have leverage in that relationship with that particular company. And even if you own your own product ecosystem, which means you have a big Facebook group or something like that, then everybody is looking at you as the brand value. And you have all of those issues with mid-tier leadership acting funny sometimes. You won't have those problems because everything is held together by your own brand. And if you switch on internet traffic to build out this community, man, the fun is even more amazing because then you can really scale using internet traffic. Okay. In my next video, I'll be talking to you about how to scale such businesses using information systems and internet traffic. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Before that, please let me know in the comments what are the things you liked and what are the things you would love to see in further videos for future topics. Okay. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.